Hello and welcome. Today we're driving deep into a story that really, truly gets under your skin. Scent of Apples by Bienvenido Santos. Now, this isn't just about a character's journey. Think of this as an explainer on a feeling, that profound, lingering ache of homesickness, and the bittersweet way we remember things when we're living in exile.
This story doesn't open with an action, it opens with a smell. And that is so key. To really get scent of apples, you have to almost breathe it in. See, this fragrance isn't just about fruit. It's our doorway into a world of deep nostalgia, of longing for a home you can only remember, and the quiet dignity of a life lived forever between two worlds. At its very heart, this story is about that phantom limb of homesickness. That ache for a place that isn't really there anymore, at least not in the way you remember it. Bienvenido Santos just perfectly captures that feeling of being an immigrant in America, desperately holding on to the memory of a home you can't touch, a past that sometimes feels way more real than your present. So the setup itself is pretty simple, but the emotional payload, it's immense. Our narrator, who's a writer, becomes our eyes and ears. Through him, we have this chance encounter with Celestino Fabia, a farmer who hasn't laid eyes on the Philippines in over 20 years. Now, this meeting, on a cold autumn night in Kalamazoo, Michigan, of all places, it seems so random, but it quickly becomes this powerful, intimate exploration of what it truly means to be in exile. So, how does Santos build this incredible feeling? Well, the story's structure isn't driven by some huge, dramatic action. Instead, it's all about a quiet, unfolding intimacy. It's a journey that takes us from a formal lecture hall right into the very heart of an immigrant's private world, one small step at a time. Okay, let's really dive into this and walk through the journey together. First up, the exposition. It all starts with an act of just profound longing. Celestino Fabia, this farmer, drives 30 miles in the freezing cold just to be in a room with someone from his homeland, just to hear his language spoken. That one act tells you everything you need to know about his isolation. Next, the rising action. Fabia invites him to his farm. This is where the narrator, and all of us, we cross a threshold, right? We move from a public space into Fabia's very private reality. We meet his American wife, Ruth, their son Roger, and we're immediately hit by that overwhelming scent of apples. Now, the climax isn't some loud fight. It's a quiet, vulnerable confession. It's that moment Fabia just opens up about his loneliness, his feeling of being trapped between cultures. Then, the falling action. As the evening goes on, the narrator sees all these small, heartbreaking details of Fabia's life, that mix of Filipino memory and a very harsh American reality. And finally, the resolution. It all ends with a simple, melancholic goodbye. But in that farewell, the narrator understands a devastating truth. Fabia's exile is permanent. There is absolutely no going back. This whole emotional journey is powered by its characters, and right at the center of it all is Celestino Fabia. The incredible power of this story, really, it comes from his deep, internal struggle. He is a man who is living a quiet contradiction, totally torn between the life he remembers and the life he actually has. So we've got four key figures that shape this narrative. The narrator, he's our empathetic guide, a fellow Filipino who can really understand the nuances of Fabia's longing. Then there's Celestino Fabia. He is the absolute soul of the story, the embodiment of the immigrant's internal battle. His American wife, Ruth, represents his present reality, a life of simple warmth and quiet devotion. And their son, Roger, he symbolizes the future, a new generation, a blend of two cultures, and he's completely innocent of the deep nostalgia that just haunts his father. The central conflict here isn't man versus man or even man versus society. It's really man versus memory. Fabia is wrestling with a ghost, the idealized image of a Philippines he left 2 decades ago. This beautiful, haunting memory is in a constant, silent war with his real life in America. And because of this, he's a man who belongs completely to neither place. So this slide, it really lays out the two worlds Fabia's living in. On one side, you have the Philippines of his memory, a grand old home, a place of tradition defined by the modest and faithful Filipino women he completely idealizes. And on the other side is his American reality, a crumbling shanty, a life of backbreaking labor, and an American family. This isn't just about geography, it's an unbridgeable chasm between the life he lost and the life he lives now. Now, to truly appreciate Santos's genius, we have to look beyond the plot and start decoding the story's rich symbolism. In the story, every object, every scent, even the season itself is just layered with deeper meaning, communicating these complex themes of loss, memory, and identity. And this brings us to the central puzzle of the story, right? Why apples? The Philippines is a tropical nation of mangoes, coconuts, calamansi. Apples are foreign. So why would Santos choose this particular fruit as the core symbol for a story about Filipino homesickness?
The scent of apples is the perfect symbol for Fabia's exile. It's like a beautiful prison. It represents his American life, his farm, his labor, his reality. But it's a fragrance that doesn't belong to his memories of home. It's sweet, for sure, but it's also a constant, inescapable reminder of his displacement. Think about it. The apples he can't sell, which will eventually just rot and be fed to the pigs, they're a heartbreaking mirror for his own life, a life of hard work that he feels hasn't borne the right kind of fruit, so far from his native soil.
The setting itself just masterfully amplifies this theme. The story unfolds in autumn. As Fabia so poignantly says, the trees are getting ready to die, and they show their colors, proud-like. This beautiful decay is a perfect mirror for Fabia himself. He's aging, he's isolated, yet he's clinging to his memories with this quiet, stubborn pride. The dying season reflects his own fading connection to the vibrant youth he left behind.
Inside the shanty, the narrator finds this faded photograph of a Filipino woman. And Fabia admits he doesn't even know who she is. He just found the picture years ago. The face, once clear, is now just a blur. This is such a perfect metaphor for his memory of the Philippines. It's a cherished artifact of his identity, but its specific details have been totally eroded by time and distance, leaving only a vague, idealized impression behind. Okay, now for the final, and maybe most crucial layer of our analysis. It's understanding that this story isn't just fiction. It's a piece of testimony, and it's deeply rooted in the author's own life and the historical reality for an entire generation of Filipino exiles. To understand the raw authenticity of this story, you really have to understand Bienvenido Santos himself. He arrived in the U.S. right before World War II and, like so many others, was suddenly stranded, totally cut off from his homeland. His writing wasn't just an art form for him, it became a lifeline. It was his way of processing his own profound loneliness and giving a powerful voice to a generation of Filipino immigrants who were navigating a new, and let's be honest, often unwelcoming world. And this is where art and life just completely converge. Celestino Fabia isn't just a character. He is a composite, a reflection of Santos himself and the entire community he knew. The deep homesickness, the struggle for identity, the clinging to memory, these weren't just clever literary devices. They were the lived daily reality for the author and the people he was writing for and about. Just let that number sink in for a second. Over 20 years. That's not just a long time. That's an eternity when you're in exile. It's long enough for a country to completely transform, for familiar faces to blur into ghosts, and for your own memory to become a kind of personal mythology, a necessary, beautiful illusion you have to hold on to just to survive. This piece of dialogue is really the emotional core of the story's first half. When Fabia asks if Filipino women are still modest and faithful, he isn't just asking a question. He's seeking validation for the idealized image of home that has kept him going for 2 decades. The narrator's kind, careful answer that, inside, they are the same, gives him that validation. And his response, "I'm very happy, sir," is just profoundly moving. It's the happiness of a man whose entire sentimental investment has just paid off. And here, Santos gives us this beautiful, subtle irony. Fabia spends his life longing for the idealized virtues of the Filipino women from his past, all while failing to see that those very same virtues, loyalty, strength, selfless devotion, are embodied in his American wife, Ruth. In a moment of clarity, he even admits she is like our own Filipino women. The profound tragedy and beauty of it all is that the home he was looking for across an ocean of memory was right there beside him the whole time. This is the final, devastating line. After the narrator offers to visit his hometown for him, Fabia gently refuses. With this quiet, devastating admission, he finally accepts his fate. He's a ghost to his own past. The illusion of a possible return, the very hope that has sustained him for decades, just dissolves into the cold Michigan air. He understands the harshest truth of the exile. While he never forgot his home has long since forgotten him. And that is the profound question Scent of Apples leaves us with. Is home a dot on a map, or is it a collection of memories and feelings we carry inside of us? For Celestino Fabia, home was no longer a place he could return to. It became an idea, a memory, a bittersweet fragrance that filled his American life with both profound beauty and unbearable sorrow. The scent of apples, the scent of exile.